What's up, everyone? I'm Devin, aka Dev, student director at South Tampa. I'm so glad you're here to start the party with us this week. We're moving through a series called Start the Party that's all about the promise Jesus made to us about getting the most out of life. See, you have what it takes to be a party starter in this life, and that's why we're taking some time tonight to talk about what that means. Now, I know we all love a good party, but when we say party in this series, we mean any effort to celebrate, serve, or enjoy with others in a way that adds value to life. With that in mind, being a party starter simply means you're the one doing those things and inviting others to join in. See, I remember one time when I was probably 14 years old, I was practicing baseball with my dad. We were in a batting cage. I noticed next to me, there was this guy in there and he had Baltimore Orioles gear on. And in my small town, that was kind of a big deal. So in my mind, I said, I've got to go harder now that I've got this Major League Baseball player next to me. Like I've got to impress him. I've got to do something. I started hitting the ball hard, like trying my best to make an impression. So I was actually hitting the ball extremely well, and I knew he was going to be impressed. I was going to get his attention, and sure enough, I did. I got his attention. But after we were finished, Coach Ben and my dad, they started talking, and he said was how awful my swing was. He mentioned it would work temporarily, but eventually it wouldn't be effective. But even though I was extremely let down by him saying that, he didn't stop there. He went on to say that he would give me 4 weeks of free training. This was huge because we found out this guy was a former MLB player that was charging extremely high prices for training sessions. And yet, he gave me a month of training for free? He didn't have to. I'm not special. I'm just like everyone else. He could have easily told us where up and this is how much you got to pay, but instead, he went above and beyond to bless me. Why am I telling you this story? Well, because I think we all could use a little more people like Coach Ben. We all need people who show up, who care, who go above and beyond. Those people are part. And I don't know about you, but for me, the whole idea of doing more than what's asked of me isn't easy. I think that's probably why we tend to really notice when someone else does it for us. It just doesn't happen all that often. And that's what makes it really stand out. I think most of us, myself included, would say it's easier to just do the bare minimum. Sure, we could do more, say more, we could help out more, we could show up more, and we could just be there more. We could be present more. But no one has asked us to do that. It's not required. So we just don't. Of course, I know this bare minimum approach, it doesn't come from a bad place. Sometimes we do this because we're just tired. You can't give more because you don't have more to give. You need someone to give to you right now. Or maybe just sometimes the extra effort doesn't seem like it would have any benefit to you. You couldn't possibly have enough time or money or resources to make that much of an impact, right? Sometimes our bare minimum is the result of fear. Maybe you want to help someone. You're scared you might mess it up, embarrass yourself, or do or say the wrong thing. And then sometimes it's the result of lack of motivation. We're simply just not motivated to go above and beyond. No matter the reason, hear me when I say this. I think on some level, minimum approach to helping others is true of all of us. But I wonder if you stop to consider it, is this the kind of person you want to be? Do you want to be someone who lives life at the minimum? Someone who does a little more than what someone else? Or do you think you might want to be someone who does a little more? Someone who chooses to go the extra mile? Someone who lives more like a party starter when it comes to helping others? In this series, we've been talking about what it means to live the full life Jesus came for us to have. And part of living that party starter life is choosing to go the extra mile. How do I know? Well, because of Jesus' everything about Jesus' life, ministry, death, and resurrection was all about going the extra mile for people he loved. Paul, one of the first leaders of the Christian church, put it this way: God demonstrates his own love for us. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. You. This is an extreme example of the extra mile, right? He didn't have to do that. Jesus didn't wait for us to ask. He didn't wait for us to prove that we deserved it. He didn't wait for us to get it right or show our gratitude. He wasn't waiting on you. He wasn't waiting for us to promise to mess up again. No. While we were still in the middle of our mess, Jesus went the extra mile. He died for us simply because he loved us. That's a pretty big deal. But Jesus even took it, this extra mile stuff, he even took it a step further. He didn't just do it for us to worry about it in our own lives. No, Jesus called us to follow his lead and do the same for others. That paints the picture of what God is really like. When we go the extra mile for others, we get to show other people what God is like. Looking for moments when someone goes the extra mile is one way to look for and see God at work through people. And before we get to his actual words, let me give you a little background on what was going on at the time Jesus said what we're about to read. During the time of the Roman Empire, when Jesus was on earth, Roman soldiers had all the power. They could get away with just about anything, especially when it came to the Jewish people, most of whom were not Roman citizens. During that time, there was a practice which basically said a Roman soldier could demand someone to carry their belongings, their heavy armor or their gear for a full mile. So if a Roman soldier didn't feel like carrying something, it was common for that soldier to pick a random person and force them to carry it for him for a mile. That's kind of messed up, if you ask me. And you'd probably expect Jesus to say something like, nah, you don't have to do that. You're a Christian. Listen to them. You don't have to help these soldiers do anything. Like, that's what you would expect. But instead, let's take a look at what Jesus said in Matthew 5:41. He says, if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, I say go with them 2 miles. Wait. Jesus wants us to go another mile to do more than what's required of us? To help someone even when they've done nothing to deserve it? Yes, Jesus is encouraging us to go above and beyond. Do more than the minimum. Don't wait to be or asked. Just help for the sake of helping, because that's what a party starter does. A party starter goes above and beyond for others. Think of it this way. A party starter does more than what is asked of them. That's what Jesus did. That's what Jesus called. He's asking us to partner with him to do more for others, whenever and however we can. It's an invitation to follow Jesus' lead and start the party right here, right now, by going the extra mile for others when we can. I'm not suggesting that you should do so much for someone that it actually causes you harm. You have to take care of yourself too. Good, healthy boundaries to know when you've done enough or when you just don't have much to give. Jesus isn't asking us to do something out of obligation or because someone else is using their power to make us do something. So what do we do with all of this? If we want to be party starters who do more than what is asked of us, where do we start? Well, I think a great place to start is with that question we asked earlier. What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be minimum? Or do you want to be someone who will go the extra mile? Before you can move forward, you have to decide, who do you want to be? Then make a decision to do something that you don't have to do. It's okay to start small. Remember, the extra mile will look different for every one of us. My extra mile will look different than your extra mile. So think about it this way. What can you do today to go the extra mile? What do you think would happen if you did more to help around the house this week? Or what might it look like if you were generous and kind only at school or at church? What if you did something unexpected to help someone, one of your friends, or maybe they are not even your friend? What if you did something unexpected to help someone? What can you do to help a friend that you know needs help? Chances are we've all heard this saying before, rolling out the red. We use it to describe incredible service, top-tier experiences, and special occasions. A red carpet represents going above and beyond to make someone else feel important, unique, and celebrated. So what would it look like if we were the kind of people who decided to roll out the red people wherever we go? No, not literally. That'd be kind of strange, but in the ways we treat others, and going the extra mile for those around us, and serving others in ways that we don't have to, but we choose to, in order to make a positive impact in their lives and in ours. When I think of the types of events that have red carpets, I think of world-class parties. So it's pretty clear that a party starter is someone who rolls out the red carpet for others. Over time, you can build this muscle of serving and caring for others, and you'll be glad that you did. Finally, remember that sometimes you need somebody else walk with you. Sometimes you need somebody else to go the extra mile for you. That's part of life. So if that's the season you're in right now, don't be afraid to speak up. In fact, you're about to be going to small groups. That'd be a great place to start. You're surrounded by people who want to other party starters who are willing to go the extra mile. So consider talking to your group today about how you can walk with each other through hard seasons and beyond. Remember, a party starter does more than what is asked, and that's what I hope you'll consider doing this week. As you head out, think about this question. What is one way I can go the extra mile for someone else this week?